Hello everyone, it is New Year's Day, January 1, 2021. Happy New Year everyone. Hopefully 2021 will turn out to be a whole bunch better than 2020. Anyway, welcome back to the Blue Heinz garage. This is the other half of our garage system here. Just wanted to show you these. These are the lowering blocks, the fabricated lowering blocks with the that are intended to offset the rear end to get it square with the chassis and give me a little clearance on the tires. I'll show you more detail on these in a moment. Okay, well, here's those lowering blocks that we built in order to adjust the location of the rear end, differential, whatever. This one is, you see there, passenger, see the P stamped on the top, and that's what I did as a pin to go into the perch on the bottom of the rear end. I drilled and threaded the tubing. The tubing is 3/16 inch thick, and then I put a nut. That's a 3/8 Allen head bolt cap screw, and I put a nut inside, 3/8 nut, and you see I angled the ends and then made the end plates, and Scott welded those on and finished them off. You see how nice and smooth they are. So anyway, I think you can see here what we've done. See if I can get that there. There's the bottom hole, and if you look, you see it's offset from the top hole, the top location. I think the passenger side I offset, what did I do? 5/16 maybe? Just to get a little more, no, to gain the difference that I was moving the other side to get clearance. And then the driver's side has that gain plus the correction, the difference between the two sides. So this side is a little more offset. Oops, I got it turned around. This side's a little more offset. This is a 7/16 offset. The other side, I forgot if it was 3/8 or I think it was 5/16 that I moved it. And bought a set of these. The what do you call it? Lowering blocks that we had are these ones here. These are the manufactured ones. Lowering blocks we had were also 2-inch. But I believe what happens is that the spring perch on this rear end, I think, is probably a little bit taller than the ones on the rear end that was in the car. So the U-bolts ended up being a little short. The nuts would go on there, but the bolts wouldn't come through. And so here's where we are underneath the car. These lowering blocks that you see in here now are some temporaries. I had some 2-inch tubing, and I just used these to dial in the amount of offset I wanted to get the rear end straight. You see there's all these lines on the floor. I'm trying to keep you from looking directly at the light. There's all these lines on the floor that I used, developed with the laser level. And there's measurements from lines up here that are also plumbed down from these fixture studs that the factory uses when they build the chassis, and also from plumbed down from the ball joint just to prove the dimensions. And you see here I put a center line, so I would be measuring in parallel lines, you know what I mean, the same distance off the center line on both ends. So today I'm ready to, I did some little touch up on the springs yesterday afternoon. Today I'm ready to actually install these, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Good way to start the new year, working on the car, okay, getting this thing back together again. And then once I get these bolted up permanently, I'll put the shocks back in, and then we'll figure out If I have two drive shafts, we'll figure out, one is a tiny bit longer than the other. We'll figure out if either one of those is going to work, hopefully, and go from there. So I'll show you more in a little bit. Okay, so this is how I've been lifting this whenever I want to place or remove or whatever, play with the lorry blocks. So you see I can take that off and put the new one up there, and then get the perch and the spring bolt to engage on the lowering block, and then that side set, then I'll do the other side. So here goes. Okay, well, I got that side engaged. Let's do the other side. Okay, well, they're both in there. They're not bolted yet, but they're both in there in place. And that's what we have for clearance on this side. And I'll show you. They're not the same because the body is different. There's a number of little differences. I mean, fractional differences. There's the clearance on that side. And when you put the car down, when the suspension compresses, that clearance gets bigger because it gets away from the apex of the tire. But that's the closest it's going to be. I mean, that's with the tire, with the suspension extended fully, so it's never going to get closer than that. You see here. So, like I said, that's adequate clearance, but and it doesn't look the same on the body. It's a little bit bigger on the passenger side. The clearance is a little bigger on the passenger side. You know, you never can see both of those at the same time. So I'm happy with that. I know it's square. I measured it multiple times, and with the dimensions that I have on the U-bolts right now, it's exact. So I'm happy with that. I just got to bolt it all up now and start putting it back together. Anyway, talk to you, tell you more, show you more later. Happy New Year in the meantime. Bye. Okay, well, there they are. They're installed and bolted in. Shocks are installed. Sorry about that. There you go. So it's much later in the day. Some company came, and I was gone from here for a couple of hours at least. So I just got back here and bolted these in. So now I have to adjust these. See, they're kind of loose. Loosened everything up while I was doing the rear end. When I found out it wasn't in the right place, so I got to readjust all of that stuff and reset the little switch that does the indicator lights and all that stuff. But anyway, gonna deal with that tomorrow. It's, I don't know, 5:30 or so right now, I think. So we're done here for today. That's some progress. Like I say, good start for 2021. All right, talk to you later. For now, bye. Hello guys, welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Well, it's the 29th of January, it's Friday, 29th of January. It's been a while, probably been at least a month since I showed you any progress here. We've been making some progress. Got the rear end, the new rear end bolted back in. Got some longer U-bolts, the ones that I had ordered. I forgot to consider the spring purchase, so the measurement was a little short. And you notice here, I still have this all protected for bleeding the brakes so we don't remove paint with brake fluid. I had some rags up there when we did it. We bled them and we've driven the car. I want to bleed them again, so that's why it's still protected. I think the pedals still, the systems might still have a little air in it. I learned something, I think, on the last brake bleeding. I have these bottles, just a little diversion here. I have these bottles that I set up so that I could hang, you see the hose coming out, I'll hook that up on the brake bleeder. Got some fluid in there, watch for air bubbles, okay? And what I did is I just poked a little hole in the tops and put the hose through. When I removed one of those bottles the last time I bled the brakes, the thing pissed all over me, because I think what happened is where that hose goes in the bottle, it's airtight. And while you're pushing fluid in there and air in there, you're pressurizing the bottle in essence, because you're not letting that air, bleed to. You're replacing the air in the bottle with fluid, and there's no place for that air that's in the bottle to go other than to pressurize itself inside the bottle. You remove the hose off of the bleeder and it pisses everywhere because it's got pressure on it. So I need to fix that. I need to make a couple of little atmospheric air holes in the little cap on top of the bottle, so air and a fluid can come in there without pressurizing the bottle. And that probably might affect how well you bleed the brakes, how effectively you bleed the brakes. Anyway, you'll notice here the drive shaft is in. We got the adapter cross for this end of the drive shaft, which was 4 trips to the auto parts store. I never had enough information to give the guy what he needed. And on this end, we replaced the yoke from a different drive shaft, which actually lengthened the drive shaft a bit, and it gave us a good dimension. So drive shaft got done too. Besides that, you'll notice there's a sensor here in the exhaust. I put a air-fuel ratio gauge up under the dashboard temporarily. I'm using it as a tool only to dial in the carburetor. So I just finished wiring that today and started it up, and to my surprise, and quite pleased, it looks like it's not too far off. I've got 2 short little videos. I might include one here with the motor running with it choked, and we're in like the mid-13s with a cold motor with the choke, 13-to-1 air-fuel ratio. And when the motor warmed up, it didn't go far away from that. It went to around 14, it looked like, maybe high 13s. So carburetor, I think, is pretty close. I haven't driven it yet because I want to do that when I can watch the gauge while someone else is driving. But I think we're pretty close on the carburetor. In fact, there's a couple of things I want to try before opening the carburetor up and messing with it again. I want to try bumping a couple more degrees of advance into the timing. I believe we're at 16 now. I want to go to 18 because driving it seems to me like it can use a couple more degrees. I know 18 is probably the limit, but I think the motor's going to tell us. When we hit that max, I think the motor's going to tell us, because right now it doesn't kick back at all on starting, and while you're driving it, it doesn't ping at all. Even if you load it down fairly heavily, it doesn't ping at all. So I believe it can use another couple of degrees. And I've got a standard old points type distributor in there, so I know what I'm reading is accurate. There's no digital games, no magic entering the picture. So right now I'm pretty happy with that. I'll lower the car down and show you what that gauge looks like. So hang on. By the way, this is what we ended up with for tire clearance on the rear end too. That's with the weight on the chassis. That's where we've got 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch of tire clearance there to the fender of the wheel opening. And I think this is the close side. I mean, not by much, but that's the close side. Here's the, see if I can, there's a lot of room here. There's that side. They're pretty close. And I know it's square because I went to a lot of trouble for that. Anyway, let me show you the air-fuel ratio gauge. Again, this is mounted temporarily, so I didn't try and hide the cable. There's the cable coming up around the shifter. Here, where is the shifter? Sorry. There's where it comes out of the floor where the shifter is, because we don't have a boot on that yet. That's one of the remaining things to do. And there's the gauge, so you can easily see the gauge while you're in the car, sitting in the seat. All right, so like I say, we have to drive it and see what it tells us while we got a load on the motor and all that other good stuff. Anyway, talk to you later. Thanks for watching as always. Love to hear your comments. So don't hesitate, please. If you have something to say, go ahead. Please let me know what you think. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.